Archives of IT, archivesit.org.uk. Growing Giants, USA versus UK. Why is the USA better than the UK at producing tech giants like Google, Apple and Microsoft? 4 views on people, markets and shareholders. Sir Martin Reed, Chairman, Non-Exec and Board Advisor, was Chief Executive of Logica 1993 to 2007.
Well, Tom, what really drove me as Chief Executive of Logica was I really wanted Britain to have one world-class, significant UK-listed business. And that really, I think was the big thing for me. And so I was quite sad when Logica got taken over after I left. And I do actually have a level of discomfort on the number of UK-listed businesses that have been brought up over the years. I've been on the boards of several of them, Boots, Asda, Invensys, Laird, where I was chairman. And I think we do have something of a problem in that few investors today are willing to take a long-term view. Now, that's a problem, I think, generally, but I do think it's especially so here in the UK. There really is a problem, in my view, about investors not valuing companies properly. For example, when I was on the board of Invensys, we sold a third of the business, that was the rail business, to Siemens for the whole value of the company. So it does raise some pretty big questions in my mind. And I can't help but feel that this puts us at a bit of a disadvantage here in the UK.
Andy Phillips is an entrepreneur and business angel who founded one of the firms that turned into Booking.com.
I founded part of what became Booking.com. And Booking.com now, its market cap is, depending on whether you've got a pandemic going on or not, between 50 and 100 billion. So it would be one of the larger tech companies to come out. But we, both us and the Dutch side of it, sold it to the US. And that was partly a function of the capital structure or the requirements of some of my investors, but also partly undue deference to the might of the US companies, because actually, Booking Holdings, now a very, very substantial part of it is Booking.com, and it's still run by the Europeans in large part. So there was historically a lack of confidence, I think, that we could compete on a global scale, at least by some of the people in my company. I think that's changing. I do talk to more and more people who don't want to, their ambition is not to sell to the Americans, it's to IPO, it's to set up one of the largest tech companies looking forward. If I talk to the chief exec of, say, Thought Machine, where I work now, he is absolutely passionate about trying to grow a 50, 100, 200 billion UK banking software business.
Vin Murrier is a serial entrepreneur who has created 4 businesses of over $1 billion valuation, or unicorns.
Right. So, and what I'm sort of thinking of is this whole problem with the UK not being able to create a Google or a Microsoft, that we've somehow, come up with some amazingly innovative software, but it's never really taken the world by storm.
Well, that's not to do with our ability to create. It's actually our ability to, I always say, I don't know if you've read a book called Startup Nation. Fantastic book. I recommend it to absolutely everybody. It's actually about the way the Israeli culture focuses on innovation, but then because the market is only very small, their internal market, they're forced into immediately looking to export. And that export is always done to the US markets. And what we do is we historically, and it's not necessarily the same now, we had a situation whereby people would sell sufficient to be very comfortable selling just to the UK marketplace. Okay. And then what would happen with that is that, they've made their 5, 10, 15, 20 million pounds. Their house in Spain is paid for, the kids' school education's done, and they're comfortable. They don't have to take another risk. And therefore, there is a tendency to exit early rather than stay for the next. If I look at the stuff that we've created the equivalent of 4 unicorns over the last 30 years. Yeah, if you put the valuations together. And that's unusual.
John Higgins is a tech entrepreneur and has led British and European trade bodies.
The European Commissioner is saying, why has the European industry not, just done what you've described? And when you dig under the surface of it, I mean, obviously, there are any number of reasons. But if you had to pick out one reason above all others, to me, it is to do with the fact that Europe is not one market. And, people will tell you that the huge advantage that the American companies have is one big English-speaking market that they grow quickly in. And then, because they've grown quickly and because they're English-speaking, they quickly can move into other markets.
If you enjoyed this, find out more. Read and hear more stories from people of the industry at
Archives of IT, archivesit.org.uk.